All right, so here we go. Exam review, Algebra 2, pump it up. Yeah. Number 1. See, there's some students in the background that are fired up for you. Listen to them. They're going nuts. They're going crazy. So we're going to solve this bad boy. The first thing you have to know is that U there, don't panic with it. Just put it at the top. And then we don't like fractions, so we're going to eliminate those by multiplying by 10. Why 10, you ask? What are those denominators? You got a 2 and a 5. They both go into 10. And so we're going to multiply everything by 10. 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 2u is 4u. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15u, but that is a negative, and I almost forgot it. Equals negative 110. So, negative 11u equals negative 110. Divide by negative 11. Divide by negative 11. And look at that. We get u is 10. All right. Next problem. Distribute, distribute. 10m minus 15 equals, you see this parentheses is just there to throw you off because there's nothing in front of it. So you can literally ignore it. And so we end up getting 10m minus 15 equals 10m minus 15. And if you're just being halfway observant, you'll notice this side equals this side. And you're going to say, hey, there's nothing that can't work, so that's going to be all real numbers. But if you're just kind of a robot and you keep going, you're going to get 0 equals 0. And at that point, you have to say, wait a minute, that's true. So therefore, all things work, all real numbers. This says solve for w, which means you're not done until you get that alone. So I like to nickel and dime these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite it just so we can kind of separate the parts and I can show my work a little bit better. LWH. I'm going to get rid of the 1/3 by multiplying by 3. And then I get LWH. So how would I get rid of the L and the W? Divide by both of those. Divide by L, divide by H. So these cancel, and I get W equals this mess, which is 3V over LH. Done. This guy, solve it. Well, when we got fractions, I prefer to get rid of them, so we're going to multiply by 3. Distribute, distribute, distribute to everything. So that'd be m minus 6 equals 3m plus 36. Subtract m and subtract 36. So I get negative 42 equals 2m. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And I get negative 21. So m equals negative 21. Another problem to solve. We're going to distribute 3x minus 12. Don't forget this minus. A lot of teachers like to teach their students to add up, and then you'll remember to distribute the negative 4 through. And so that would turn into minus 8x minus 12 equals 5x. And now I'm going to get all my variables on one side, and then I'm going to get everything else over here. So I see that negative 12 and negative 12 is negative 24. So I need to add 24 to this side, and I need to add 24 to this side. So notice these go. And then this 24 cancels the negative 24. I know this is kind of a mess, but this is negative 13x minus 3x is negative 10x equals 24. So I'm going to divide by negative 10, divide by negative 10, and I get x is, I can see that 2 goes into both of these, so that'd be negative 12 fifths. Number 6, we don't like that 3 down there, so we just multiply by 3, but you got to multiply this side by 3. So these 3's cancel. I get 10x minus 8 equals 18x. Now I'm going to subtract 10x, subtract 10x, and I'm going to turn this guy, well, I'll just leave it. Negative 8 equals 8x, divide by 8, divide by 8, I get x is negative 1. Number 7 is your wonderful, dimes and quarters problem. So the first thing we need to do is talk about this. We know that there are two types of coins. So we're going to let x equal dimes. We're going to let y equal quarters and go from there. So right away we know the number of dimes plus the number of quarters has to equal 30. This is just the number of coins sentence. And now we're going to talk about the value. So we know that each dime is worth 10 cents. We know that each quarter is worth 25 cents. And we know the total is $5.40. Now, if you're dealing with this, I recommend you get rid of these decimals. You don't have to, but I recommend it. So you can multiply by 100. So I got x plus y equals 30 just from the top row. This one, I'm going to get 10x plus 25y equals 540. Now the good news is we got rid of the decimals. Bad news, we got huge numbers, but we're back to good news. We can divide this by 5, divide that by 5, and divide that by 5, and then life is good. 2x plus 5y equals 108. Now we just have one of these elimination problems where I'm going to multiply this by negative 2. This times this is negative 2x. This times this is negative 2y, negative 60. These cancel. So 3y equals 48. Divide by 3, divide by 3, 16. So if y is 16, we know that we have 16 quarters. Now if you know you have 16 quarters and it says how many of each coin are there, we know we're going to have 14 dimes because they have to add up to 30 total coins. Okay, we're up to number 8. We have an inequality. Don't forget, if you have an inequality and you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip the inequality, but we'll get to that if we need it. 10u plus 15 is greater than, we got to distribute, 2u minus 6 plus 5u. Now let's clean up the other side. And so I'd get 7u minus 6. So I'm going to subtract 7u and subtract 15. Write my answer over here. So 3u greater than, whoops, I made a y. 3u is greater than negative 21. Divide by 3, divide by 3. We're not going to flip this because we're not dividing by a negative. So u is greater than negative 7. Now, if you remember, number 9, when it's written like this, we should say, is this an or problem or is this an and problem? And the answer is it's an and problem, which means we're looking for things in common. And don't forget, there's a whole lot of ways these things can happen. If your drawing ends up looking like this, then our answer would be here. If our answer looks like this, then our answer would be here. If your drawing looks like this, then our answer would be in here. And if our answer looks like this, then that would be no solution because there's nothing in common. So with all that being said, what we need to do is first take out this part and say negative 9 less than or equal to 4r minus 5. And now we're just going to take out this part. 4r minus 5 less than or equal to negative 1. So I'm going to add 5. And so I would get negative 4. And I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. R, remember you got to read from your letter to the number, is greater than or equal to negative 1. So if I was to draw that, I'm going to put my 0 right here, my negative 1's right here. This would be a filled in circle. R is greater than or equal to negative 1 would go this way. Now I got to solve this one. So add 5, add 5. I get 4r is less than or equal to 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. I get r is less than or equal to 1. So I go to my 1. R is less than or equal to 1. So it's right there. So this is where my answer is, because it's an and problem because it's written like this. So my answer is R look at this picture. If I just literally put an r there, it has to be greater than or equal to -1, but less than or equal to 1, and there's my answer. That explains that, and that's what this problem's looking for. So this one's actually simpler than this, but it's the same thing. So again, it's an and problem. So I got to bite off this part of it, -x/2, and now I got to take off this part of it, -x/2 greater than -6. This one, remember there's a -1 hidden right there, so I got to multiply this side by -2. So I got to multiply this side by -2. Now watch this. So I get -6. Remember, I'm multiplying by a negative, so I got to flip this. Then I get x. Don't forget, read from the letter to the number. X is greater than -6. So if I drew that over here, I'll say -6 is here. This time it's open circle and it's up to the right. This one, same thing. There's a -1 there, so I'm going to multiply by -2. I'm going to multiply this by -2. So this side is just x. Got to flip this because we multiplied by a -12. I'll put my 12 over here somewhere, open circle to the left, and so this is my answer. Everything's stuffed in here. So if I physically, literally put my x here, it might help me say, aha, x is greater than -6, less than 12. Don't forget there's no or equals because those are open circles. This one should be a lot easier than the previous two. Subtract 8x, subtract 8x. See, it doesn't have, it's not one of these problems at all, so you just solve it. So it's -4x is less than or equal to 32. Divide by -4, divide by -4, or divide by negative. So flip the inequality, and there it is. Done. Okay, we're up to chapter 3. Find the slope. Don't forget, one way a student could do it is remember this is ax plus by equals c. Remember, if that's the case, then we can use the formula -a/b. Another student might want to go y equals mx plus b. Just isolate y and figure out what m is this way. For starters, we'll try this one because it's so darn easy. So this says take the opposite of a, so a is 2, divided by b, which is -8, and I get 1/4. But if you don't like that method or you don't think you'll remember it, you subtract 2x, subtract 2x. -8y equals -2x plus 4. We're going to divide everything by -8. And so that would give me y equals 1/4 x minus 1/2. All I care about is the m, which is always connected to the x. So my slope is 1/4. Same answer, different method. Okay, so what they're doing here is they're saying, all right, they're giving you the same equation here. Oh, no, they're not. Different. My bad. So let's go ahead and use -a/b because this is in ax plus by equals c form. And so we're going to go -2 all over 4, which is -1/2. Now, this says find the slope of a line that's perpendicular. Remember, that means opposite reciprocal slope to the line here. Well, if this line has slope -1/2 and a perpendicular line to this line has opposite reciprocal slope, then you got to take the reciprocal and take the opposite. So that would be 2. That'd be done. Try to squeeze one more problem in here before the video ends. It says find the y-intercept. Well, that's b if we think of y equals mx plus b. So that's what we're going to do with this guy. We're just going to get it in slope-intercept form. So -4y equals -10x plus 8. Divide everything by -4. And we would get y equals 5/2 x minus 2. But remember, they're only wanting y-intercept, which is b. So there it is, -2. And that'll finish this recording. We got up through 13.